Rahim. Assalamu alaikum dear students. I am Satya Naseem on behalf of Garrison Academy Senior Campus. Welcome you all to AppSex Online Support Program. This is week 2, day 2 of our chemistry lesson for class first year. We will continue with unit number 1 stoichiometry. The objective of today's lesson are you will be able to differentiate between theoretical yield and actual yield. You will be able to solve sample problem 1.9 and 1.10. You will be able to solve multiple choice questions. Students, let's differentiate between theoretical yield and actual yield. Theoretical yield, point number 1, it is the amount of a product calculated from a balanced chemical equation. Actual yield, point number 1, it is the amount of a product actually obtained during a chemical reaction. Theoretical yield, point number 2, it is also called expected yield, stoichiometric yield or calculated yield because it is the yield that is obtained after performing stoichiometric calculations. Actual yield, point number 2, it is also called experimental yield because it is the yield which is obtained after performing an experiment. Theoretical yield, point number 3, it is always greater than actual yield because it is the calculated amount. Actual yield, point number 3, it is always less than the theoretical yield because it is obtained after performing an experiment, and in an experiment there can be so many errors that decrease the amount of product. Theoretical yield, point number 4, while calculating theoretical yield, it is assumed that no side reaction occurs and reactants are completely converted into the products. Therefore, yield is not decreased. While calculating the product, we assume that no side reaction take place and we assume that the reactions are not reversible. That does not decrease the yield. Actual yield, point number 4, reversible nature of the reaction and side reactions decrease the actual yield. During the experimental process, the reactions can be reversible or side reaction may take place that decreases the actual yield. Theoretical yield, point number 5, no mechanical laws occur since it is calculated theoretically. In calculating the amount of product, no mechanical laws take place, no loss of substance occurs. Actual yield, point number 5, mechanical laws during the experiment also decreases the yield. Loss of substance can take place during the experiment. The loss of substance can take place while weighing the substance on the electronic balance, or loss of substance can take place during filtration process. When you filter the crystals, some of the crystals may be left in the evaporating dish, or loss of substance can take place during crystallization process. During the crystallization process, maybe you filter the crystals before the crystallization is complete and the maximum amount of crystals are not obtained. So in this way, mechanical loss can take place during the experimental process. Students, let's solve sample problem number 1.9. The question is, in an industry, copper metal was prepared by the following reaction. Zinc combines with copper sulfate to produce zinc sulfate and copper. 1.274 gram of copper sulfate when reacted with excess of zinc metal, a yield of 0.329 gram copper metal was obtained. How much copper metal is obtained? 0.329 gram of copper metal is obtained when you carry out this process in the industry. So this is the actual yield that you get. What you have to calculate? You have to calculate the percentage yield. Actual yield is given to you. You have to find out the theoretical yield and you have to find out the percentage yield. So students, our first step is determination of moles of copper. We are actually calculating the theoretical yield first. So what is the mass of copper sulfate that is given to you? Mass of copper sulfate is 1.274 grams. What is the molar mass of copper sulfate? Mass of copper is 63.5. Mass of sulfur is 32. Mass of 4 oxygen atom is 64. So molar mass is 159.6 gram per mole. So moles of copper sulfate obtained are 7.982 into 10 raised to the power minus 3 moles. So according to balanced chemical equation, If 1 mole of copper sulfate is used, then 1 mole of copper is produced. If 7.982 into 10 raised to power minus 3 moles of copper sulfate are used, then 7.982 into 10 raised to power minus 3 moles of copper are produced. We are calculating the moles of copper. So, moles of copper obtained are 7.982 into 10 raised to power minus 3 moles. Atomic mass of copper is 63.5 grams. So, what is the mass of copper that you get after calculating, after performing stoichiometric calculations? So, mass of copper is atomic mass multiplied by number of moles. So, 0.5072 grams of copper is obtained after calculations. So the theoretical yield is 0.5072 grams. The actual yield, it is given in the question, and that is 0.329 gram. So what is the percentage yield? Percentage yield is actual yield divided by theoretical yield multiplied by 100. So the actual yield is 0.392 grams. Theoretical yield is 0.5072 grams multiplied by 100. So the percentage yield is 77.3%. Yes students, so in this way we calculate the percentage yield of a chemical reaction. Sample problem number 1.10. The question is, in a reaction of 2 moles of methane was reacted with an excess of chlorine. As a result, 177 gram of CCl4 is obtained. 177 gram CCl4, this is the actual yield. So what we have to calculate? We have to calculate the theoretical yield and we have to calculate the percentage yield. The actual yield is given in the question. Carbon tetrachloride. The mass of carbon tetrachloride is 177 gram, and this is the actual yield of carbon tetrachloride. This is the mass of carbon tetrachloride when we perform this chemical reaction in the laboratory. Yes friends, so our first step is determination of theoretical yield. So according to a balanced chemical equation, if 1 mole of methane is used, then 1 mole of carbon tetrachloride is produced. Then according to question, if 2 moles of methane are used, then 2 moles of carbon tetrachloride are produced. So we have calculated the moles of carbon tetrachloride. What is the molar mass of carbon tetrachloride? Mass of carbon is 12 and mass of 1 chlorine is 35.5, and there are 4 chlorine atoms, so 35.5 multiplied by 4, and when you add these two numbers together you will get the answer 154 gram per mole. So this is the molar mass of carbon tetrachloride. So mass of carbon tetrachloride is moles multiplied by molar mass. So the answer is 308 grams of carbon tetrachloride is obtained theoretically. So the theoretical yield is 308 grams. Yes friends, the actual yield is given in the question. So mass of carbon tetrachloride which is actually produced during that process, that is the actual yield, and that is 177 gram. So let's calculate the percentage yield. We know that the theoretical yield is 308 gram, the actual yield is 177 gram. So actual yield divided by theoretical yield multiplied by 100. So the percentage yield is 57.46%. We know that students, percentage yield tells us about the efficiency of a reaction, means it tells us about, for example, if the percentage yield is greater, then more amount of reactants will be converted into the products and more will be the efficiency of that reaction. But in this case the percentage yield is less, so it means that less amount of reactants are converted into the products and the efficiency of this reaction is not very high. So in this way we can guess the efficiency of a chemical reaction.